MC Hammer, was he ever signed to Death Row, or was he just kind of rolling with you guys?
He was rolling with us. He was going to do it. Suge was going to set him up like he was setting up Snoop, uh, not Daz, Snoop, Tupac, and this guy named Big D and Eric B. So Big D and Eric B was going to be running Death Row East. I heard somebody say, James of all people, said that that's why he gave Tupac Death Row East. Tupac was just promoting Death Row East. They were going to do some stuff on Death Row East. That was going to still be a Death Row label. Big D and Eric were just going to be running it because they lived in New York.
Eric B, right?
Eric B.
Okay.
Then you had Tupac. That was Machiavelli Records. And then you had Snoop, was going to be Doggy Style Records. And then finally Hammer, it's going to be Hammer Time Records. That's why we know Keisha Cole brother, Nutso, because he was going to be one of the first artists on Hammer Time Records when he was hanging around.
How did Suge get in contact with Hammer? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. That's a story. So Hammer was on, it was something like a little talk show that used to come on BET late at night. At like, it was on Sunday nights, I remember. And he wasn't doing the gospel music. He wasn't doing the gospel thing yet. But he had a song that was out that he was doing, and it was on BET like 10 or 11 o'clock on Sunday night. And so it was just he and I sitting in his office. And we was watching, and he was looking at the show. And he said, Reg, look at Hammer. And I was like, yeah, Hammer, trying to make a comeback. This is like in 96, early part of 96. So yeah. He said, no, look at Hammer, Reg. You don't see nothing strange about Hammer? I'm like, no. He said, he ain't got no jewelry on. He said, Hammer doing bad. Hammer ain't got no jewelry on. The next day he get me on the phone. I didn't think nothing of it. He said, Reg, try to reach out and get a hold of Hammer. Have Roy get a hold of, Roy was his assistant at the time. Have Roy get a hold of Hammer. He got a hold of Hammer. Told Hammer to come in town. Hammer came right in town. They talked. Told me, Reg, have a check cut to Hammer for X amount of dollars. He gonna go down to Long Beach to get his jewelry out of the pawn shop. From then on, Hammer was around. Now, I don't think it was no paperwork ever done, but Hammer was around and Hammer was fucking with us there from that day on.
I seen somewhere that Hammer put some money on Suge's books.
Yeah, I heard he shot on Rick, dude named L.A. Rick. That's like, he's like the brother of Toy, Suge's current fiance, and supposed to put some money, gave him some money to put on Suge books. There's a lot of people out there that has done that for Suge. That's why I'm disappointed in Snoop. Like I said, it had got down to $3,000 that Suge was asking this man for. He never did it.
Mm. Did you ever see any wild fights with Hammer? Because Hammer has like this, like he kind of had this soft image, but there's been countless people that are like, yo, Hammer will fuck you up.
Hammer was an athlete. If people don't know, Hammer used to play baseball. I remember us being in Hawaii, and we were all out there on a baseball diamond in Hawaii playing. And I think he used to be a bat boy or something like that for the Oakland A's, for the A's organization. Might even call himself playing in it for a minute or something. But I know he was good in baseball because he was out there pitching and having the ball. We was in Hawaii on a baseball diamond. But Louis Burrell was the gangster with Hammer. I was the one that would always defend Hammer. Hammer, in my opinion, the only thing I didn't like about Hammer, Hammer was big on entourages. He would come to the club, trying to get in Club 662. Reg, I got 20 guys with me. Oh man, I'm not letting 20 of these niggas in here with you. We trying to make some money. Hammer would try to bring the whole Oaktown in with him and all that. Hammer was big on having entourages. But one thing I can say about Hammer and Deion Sanders, they didn't curse. Never see them cheating on their women, having different women around, and don't recall ever seeing them drink.
Oh wow, really?
That's what I know about Hammer. And that's back then. That's in '95, and so-called heyday or whatever. I know he went on and was trying to preach and all of that for a minute, but even prior before that, I've never seen Hammer do any of those three things. I always respected Hammer for that.
That's pretty significant, especially back in those times.
Yeah.
Hanging around death row.
Yeah. And Hammer was big before Death Row. I mean, Hammer,
30 million records, I think.
I forget the name. I think it was with Loud Records or something like that. But Hammer was the man. Back in the late '90s. I mean, early '90s, '91, '92.
Yeah.
He had some people that ripped him off, but prior to that, Hammer, good dude, good hearted dude. I have nothing but positive things to say about Hammer.
I seen somewhere, I don't know if this is true or not, but I was gonna ask why I'm asking you. I seen that Snoop used to have dog fights in the studio.
They all did. They were big on pit bulls. They used to love pit bulls, and I don't remember. They loved their dogs so much, so I don't know if they was letting them fight like that, to where they were bleeding and stuff like that. But they would probably be having them in there barking at each other and stuff like that, because they took care of their dogs. Corrupt had a nice big boxer, some type of boxer. They didn't have Rockwallers and Doberman pitchers and all of that, but they had they were big with boxers, some form of pit bulls.